Well, welcome. I am Mr. Murphy, and in this particular video we're going to be looking at Power Standard skill number 22. And in this skill we're going to be looking at how to convert an expression that's dealing with rational exponents and convert it to be in radical form. Now some of the examples that we're going to be looking at in a minute will look like this, and this is what we're going to be changing. So these would be examples of situations where we have expressions with rational exponents, and like I said, we're going to rewrite these to be in radical form. Now it's important to understand some of these terms that we're using here, like rational exponents and radical form, and understanding what the differences are between the two. So let's spend a moment to focus on those two here. Now, starting with rational exponents. Now you can see that a rational exponent has a fraction that's an exponent. And that fraction is broken up into two parts, the numerator and the denominator. Now, the denominator represents the root, and the numerator represents the exponent. And when we have something then written in radical form, that's going to be using what you might be familiar with as a square root symbol. That's also called a radical sign. So when they say to write it in radical form, that's the symbol that they want us to use. And when we write it like that, the root is what's going to go inside of that little v part of that radical sign. And the exponent, there's a couple ways you could write the exponent. You can write it as they have it here, or we can put the whole root in parentheses with the exponent outside the parentheses. And you'll see what I mean by that here in a minute. So now that we've had a chance to see what these are, let's go back and let's look at those examples. So let's take a minute to look at the first couple here together, and then I'll have you work on that third one on your own. Okay, so 5x to the 3/4 power. So remember what this means. This exponent is the numerator represents the exponent, and the denominator represents the root. And so the way I'm going to write this is the fourth root. So we want to put a 4 inside that little v. In fact, some people write their root with a little platform there. So you can even put that 4 on top of that platform. You want to make sure that it's clear, though, that that 4 is referring to the fourth root. And when you write this, you don't want to put it out here. That would mean something completely different. So you want to make sure that you put it right inside that little v or on top of that little platform there. And inside that root, we would have our 5x. Now, there's a couple ways that we could write our exponent. I could put this whole thing in parentheses with the exponent outside the parentheses. Or I could write my answer like this. With the 5x in parentheses inside the root, with the third power outside those parentheses. Both of these would mean the same thing. So it's very good to be familiar with both ways. In case you're looking at a multiple choice question, all your choices might be written in one form or the other. But either of these would be the correct answer. So let's look at another one. Here we have 2x being raised to the 5/3 power. So again, our root here would be the third root. Our exponent would be the 5. So to write this, we would have the third root, and then we could write it like this with the, oops, this time it's a 2x. Being raised to the 5th power. Or you could write it like this, where we have the 2x in the parentheses inside the root with being raised to the 5th power. So why don't you guys just take a second here to write this last one, the 11x being raised to the 3/8 power. So why don't you take a second to write that out in radical form. So you can pause the video and hit play when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, let's see how you did here. So you should have recognized that this is the 8th root of 11x, that quantity being cubed. So you could write that either of these two ways. So you could have written this as your answer, or having it written like this would have been just as acceptable. So either of those would have worked for your answer. Well, there you have it. That is Power Standard skill number 22. A relatively easy one, but hopefully after seeing this video you have a better understanding of how to write something in radical form. And with that, good luck.